Okay, continuing on in the D's, we're going to be in the D section for a little while, so just kind of buckle up and hang on. First up, we have a split release. This is from the band Decayed and Excruciate 666. It's a double split. I just filed this with the Decayed because they're first on the split. The name of this split is Lusitanian and Gaelic Black Terror. They're both black metal projects. Decayed is, I believe, out of Portugal, and Excruciate 666 is out of France, if I remember correctly. I do enjoy the Decayed portion of this split a little bit more. Excruciate 666 has a bit more of a pagan-esque side theme going on, but I don't know, just the the Decayed portion has a bit better riffing, in my opinion. I don't know. It's been a little while since I've listened to this. I don't even remember where I actually got this. It's in a case that has a half price books price tag on it, but I have never been to a half price book, so I'm not really sure how this came to be in my possession, but it's actually a pretty decent little split of black metal there. Next up, we have some deathcore. This is a band out of Arizona. This is Decayer. This is I believe, their first EP. This came out in 2017, entitled "Death, Profit, Greed, Denial." This one's pretty good. I do dig this. It was released on Chugcore, for what it's worth. I actually have a few Decayer releases, as you will see. As far as deathcore goes, it's a band that I'm kind of surprised never really got bigger than they have in the scene, because they are very capable. They do kind of have a sound that can kind of outreach beyond just the your general deathcore fan. Some people who appreciate other styles of music, traditional death metal and that type stuff, can probably find something to enjoy from Decayer. I know I do enjoy this band. I don't listen to a ton of deathcore anymore, but this is a band that I do enjoy. This is their full length, entitled Endnote. And I'm not sure, 2019. I wasn't sure when this one was actually released. This was also put out through Chugcore. I don't know if Chugcore is still around anymore or not. I know there was some controversy of some sorts going on there. I tried not to just delve too deeply into that. It's kind of one of those things. There's good people and bad people in every scene. So this is the not the newest EP, but the one before from Decayer. This is Shades of Grief. They had a few different covers, like versions, CD versions of this that came out. This was the red cover. I'm not sure as far as how limited or whatever. I don't really just get into that type stuff too much. I just wanted a playable copy, and that's what I have. It's a 4-track EP, pretty good. I think I like the full length as far as their releases. As far as what is my favorite, they had an EP that came out earlier this year. I believe it was an EP back in maybe July. I have not got my hands on that yet. At some point, I would like to pick it up, because Decayer is a band that I do still regularly enjoy. So I would like to hear that full length. I mean, that new release as well. Next up, going to some kind of thrashy stuff, some death thrash. You guys will know this band when I show it. This is Deceased with Fearless Undead Machines. Amazing release here. I mean, just the Welcome to Rift City. King Foley. Anything that King Foley has been a part of, I found something enjoyable. Or King Fowley. I'm not sure. Either way, I found something enjoyable in just about every project of his that I've heard. So he does drums, I think drums, vocals, and keyboards on this release. So killer stuff there from Deceased. I'm sure most of you know or at least have heard of the band Deceased. So if you're watching this video, I'm sure I have quite a bit of their material. I am missing some things. Obviously, I don't have the debut full length because I didn't show it. These are, I think, in chronological order. Next up, we have a Supernatural Addictions. A Supernatural Addiction. I actually believe this was the first Deceased album that I ever owned, and it was a great introduction for me personally into the band. It may not be their best album musically. It ranks up there, but for me, this is my favorite album just because it was kind of my introduction to the band. So it's one of those that I will always kind of fall back on when I want to hear some Deceased. But it is an amazing release regardless. Next up, this is one that until I pulled these off the shelf, I forgot that I actually even owned this. I think when I bought it, I just shelved it before I actually listened to it. I hardly ever do that. I try to listen to the things a couple times, at least a couple times before they get filed away on the shelf. And for one reason or another, this went straight to the CD shelf. It still has cracks. I need to change the jewel case out. This is Deceased with As the Weird Travel On. I do enjoy this release. I've listened to it in streams and stuff, but honestly, I don't know if I've ever given this particular physical copy that I own a spin. I'll probably change that today. I will have some free time today, so I don't like having stuff on the shelves that I have not listened to on the physical format that is on the shelf. So that will probably get changed today. When I pulled this off, it kind of made me feel like a failure because I didn't even realize that I had this in the collection. So, but a good album there. Next up, this came out of the box set. I do own the deluxe box set. I think it came with like a wristband and a keychain, and I'm not sure. There's some other stuff. I have it filed away. I just took the actual jewel case CD portion of it out so it would be on the shelf and accessible when I wanted to listen to it. This is Deceased with Worship the Coffin. This is a 2-disc compilation. It has lots of demo material, split material, I believe. It's got some live stuff on here as well. It's got some rehearsal tapes, so I don't remember a ton about this. I think it was more of like a novelty release. It's kind of cool to go back and listen to some of those early demo and rehearsals, but it's not something that I'm just going to fall back on all the time. When I want to hear Deceased, I will probably pull out Supernatural Addiction or something along those lines. This is another fantastic release from Deceased as well. This is a Surreal Overdose. This one is just thrashy riffs that will just melt your face off, but fantastic release here. This is probably musically, this may be, in my opinion, their best album. As I said earlier, it's not my favorite, but musically, I know it's pretty highly touted as far as their discography goes. Next up, we have Ghostly White. This one hasn't been out just too terribly long. It's been out maybe a couple years, maybe 2-3 years, if I remember correctly. It was released through Hell's Headbangers. I got this in one of the Hell's Headbangers sales. They do CD sales all the time. I'm kind of hanging on now on Hell's Headbangers purchases and even $20 spin purchases for Black Friday. That both of those labels tend to usually have very good Black Friday specials going, and there's quite a few albums from both that I would like to pick up. So I'm just kind of biding my time and waiting until Black Friday rolls around to pick up some of that stuff. And then this is the last Deceased release that I own. This one is all cover songs. Rick, I mean, you all know Rick at this point. If you're a fan of my channel, he actually sent me this at a VCLT. This is Rotten to the Core Part 2. The Nightmare Continues. This is the second of the Deceased cover albums. It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty interesting to see their take on some of these bands. You've got a lot of punk stuff on here and hardcore, but that's kind of where the name for the release, Rotten to the Core, comes from, because it's generally hardcore punk. bands on there. So it's pretty good. I do like, just their straight up Deceased bread and butter material as far as the stuff I like better. But that's also a pretty decent little novelty release there. Next up, we have some metalcore. This is a band. I'm wanting to say they're out of North Carolina, if I remember correctly. Have not listened to this one in quite some time, but I did find this very enjoyable. This is a Deception of a Ghost with Life Right Now. This was released back in 2012, so I know it's been probably a few years since I've given this a spin. It was released on Bullet Tooth Records. I may have to change that sometime in the fairly near future. Pretty good metalcore. I do remember just enjoying this quite a bit, but admittedly, it has been a while since I've listened to it. So we may change that here sometime soon. I say that all the time. I just, time is limited. This is another one that I haven't thought about in a while. This is death metal, kind of death metal hardcore fusion. I believe this band is out of Belgium. I could be wrong. I think they put out a full length last year that I never got around to checking out it either. This album came out, I'm wanting to say, I'm not seeing a date on it, but I'm wanting to say somewhere around 2015, if I remember correctly. This is a Deconsecrate with Nothing is Sacred. Just bludgeoning death metal. Quite good, very dark themed death metal, kind of hardcore fusion. But I won't come out and say deathcore. I know death metal, hardcore, you kind of want to lean into that deathcore, but this is more of a death metal release, straightforward death metal that has kind of those hardcore influences kind of sprinkled in throughout it. So, but good album there. I just have a whole stack of stuff just from pulling these off the shelf. It's like, hey, I want to listen to this today. So that's one reason too I like doing these CD collection videos, because with a collection like this, I know I've said this probably 20 times already throughout this series, but I with a collection like this, sometimes I just kind of forget some of the things that I have in the collection, and seeing this, it just is a memory refresher. It's like, man, I haven't listened to that in a while, and I would kind of like to hear that. Next up, we have some South American brutal death metal. Chile, I think, is where this band is from. I may be wrong. It's either Mexico. I'm wanting to say Chile. This is Decrepit Cadaver with Vortice a la Macabro. Pretty good. I mean, it's just brutal death metal. I mean, if you're into brutal death metal, you'll probably dig it. I know there's, different subgenres within that subgenre, and different facets of sound within each little subgenre. But I got this from Force Fed. I think this was like $4 back. Their site has been under maintenance for quite some time. At least the last time that I checked, it was. But you used to be able to pull off some amazing steals on that site. You could get some killer death metal and brutal death metal releases for next to nothing. This is one of those. I got that for $4, and it was definitely well worth that $4 that I spent for that album. Just bludgeoning in your face death metal there. Next up, this is a CD that was sent to me as a freebie. I ordered, I think it was like the first EP or demo that the band Conjureth put out. I ordered that. It may have come with their first full length. I'm not sure, but one of the members of Conjureth is in this project as well. This is Decrepitaf, and this is their compilation entitled Forgotten Scriptures. They threw this one in as a little freebie with that Conjureth order, and this was actually pretty good. It is a compilation of some material they did on splits. There's a rehearsal track, and then I think the majority of it are songs that they had on 7 inches or splits with other bands. There is one live track on this as well. Pretty good. I kept telling myself that I was going to check out some of their full-length material and that type of stuff, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So maybe this video will be that kick in the pants for me to go do that. But I did enjoy this quite a bit. So, and since we're still in California, we'll go with another California band that I am desperately missing some things in their material, some material from their discography. I would like to change that, but a lot of their stuff is like sneaky expensive. When the times that I have gone to add some of this stuff to the collection, it's been a little bit more than I expected when I finally am able to hunt it down and find physical copies. This is Deeds of Flesh, and this is their debut EP demo entitled Gradually Melted. I believe this was originally released in 1995. This is a repress. This was repressed in 1998. So, I mean, even the repress is over 20 years old. So, good stuff here. Just technical death metal. This is a band that kind of flies that banner of what you would expect, at least from a time period from Unique Leader. This is like a sound that I just assumed that the majority of the bands on Unique Leader were going to sound like. This next one that I'm going to show was actually released through Unique Leader. This is Deeds of Flesh with Crown of Souls. A lot of people aren't too keen on this album. As far as the Deeds of Flesh discography goes, the production mix on this one sounds a little bit different to me than some of their other material, but I dig this album. So, I mean, I can see why, if some people were expecting a particular sound or mix coming from them, then maybe they were kind of down on this release. But me not being that far into the discography, not being that far into backtracking and listening, it was kind of fresh and new to me. So maybe it hit just right. I heard it at a perfect time to maybe appreciate this album a little bit more, if that makes any sense. And then this one is an absolute beast of an album. This is Deeds of Flesh with Portals to Canaan or Canaan. This is by far the favorite of the three that I own. This makes me want to delve even deeper into their collection because, I mean, this is just technical brutality that would just beat you to death. It just is relentless, but it is very good. And I dig that one quite a bit. Next up, man, this one I guess I could just label it as extreme metal. It has like black metal, death metal, and doom all kind of going on throughout. I think this band's out of Poland. This is Deep Desolation with Subliminal Visions. I believe also this was their debut full length. I'm not seeing a date. 2011. Well, that looks like the label date. I don't know. It's been out for a little bit. But 2011 could be when this actually was released. It's pretty good. I have not listened to it in a little while, but it's very extreme. It can be somewhat abrasive at times, and then it has like a mix between abrasiveness and then almost atmospheric vibes going, but it's pretty good. Next up, this is a band that my opinion on changes based on my mood all the time. It's one that I could be in a mood to hear this and really enjoy it, or it's just I'm just not feeling it at all. This is a couple of albums that I got from Willow Tip. I believe I got these in their grab bags. This is Defeatist, and this is their Sharp Blade Sinks Deep compilation. It has some of their earlier demo and EP materials just compiled onto one specific release, one solitary release. It's pretty good. It's not my favorite of the two that I own from Defeatist. I also have their full length sixth Extinction. There we go. My mouth is getting dry. This one's pretty good. I mean, it's just death metal, grindcore, goodness. When I'm in a mood for it, this does kind of scratch that itch for me. It's not something that I want to pull off the shelf every day and listen to, but when the mood strikes me to listen, this is something that I can find enjoyable. Just one of those I just have to be in the mood for. Next up, this is one I probably need to revisit. I wasn't just super over the top in love with this when I first heard it. I think I got this at Hastings back when all the Hastings shops were going out of business and closing. I think I got this for like 75 cents, and it had like still had the little hype sticker thing on there talking about Testament, and I thought it was a group that had like Testament members and that type stuff, but it wasn't. This is a Defiance with the Prophecy. I know it has like one of the members of Skin Lab, and it's almost like a super group in itself. But I don't know. It's just something felt off uh, to me when I listened to this. It has been a couple years at least. At this point, longer than that. Probably maybe 5 years. I don't know. Somewhere. It's been a while since Hastings closed down. So it's not. It wasn't bad. It just didn't hold my attention. Maybe I need to revisit it now. I was probably going through a period there too where I was just kind of not too much into thrash metal. I know that I was kind of against thrash for quite some time, and I've kind of warmed up to it within recent times. So maybe I can revisit this at some point and maybe appreciate it a little bit more than I did back when I listened to it before. Speaking of thrash metal, here's a band out of Sweden. This is one of the original bands that got me into Oliver's label, Black Line Records. This is a killer release. This is Defiatory with Extinct. As far as thrash metal goes, this is kind of that modern thrash that I would really enjoy. The vocals don't do that kind of weird, annoying kind of enunciation. It's just straightforward. There's some originality going on in here, and the riffs. I mean, it's riff city. So killer stuff there. This is that album that I felt like the band was kind of on the brink of putting out just something absolutely amazing, and then they put out Hades Rising, the next album, and some people were kind of put off by Hades Rising. They seem to enjoy Extinct a little bit more, but man, Hades Rising blew me away. I love this release. This one still gets playtime from me now, and this was 2018 release. So, I mean, 3 years later, and I'm still speaking the praises of this release. They should be, I would assume, due at some point in the somewhat near future. I would hope to put out some new material. So I would be very interested to see where they go from here. Next up, we have some death metal out of Japan. This is Defiled with In Crisis. I believe I got this in a Season of Mist grab bag. It is released on Season of Mist. Very bass heavy, brutal death metal. Kind of off-putting at times that the bass is so prevalent in the mix. I've heard their other full lengths aren't that kind of low. That kind of, I don't know. It's just, there was something that it just kind of irked me on this release. There's some enjoyable moments on this. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do find some of this enjoyable, but it was just something about just the mix and just being so bass heavy that at times can be a little much. So I've heard some of the other material. To check those out. I have not done so yet, obviously, but that's the only one that I have in the collection. But I do have the artwork. I don't know. That artwork could draw someone in regardless. Kind of don't judge it on its cover, but I do enjoy that artwork. Next up, this is one, an absolute masterpiece released through CDN Records. This is technical death metal, kind of a brutal, almost at times, technical death metal. Just evil stuff, and this blew me away. I have to hunt down some more of their material. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did, and it just, like, I'm looking at it now, and it's kind of like making me want to shun it away just because the evilness that this that this album protrudes. This is Deformatory with a Malediction. Man, if you're into death metal, if you're into brutal death metal, if you're into technical death metal, check this band out. I believe they're out of Canada. Obviously, it feels like some blackened themes going on, but there's not, as far as like the musically, the black metal isn't there. It's just like those evil demonic themes are going on. It is almost a concept album telling a story of the demon, the original demon that tempted, I guess, took over Lucifer. So I don't know. It's nasty, gnarly, devilish stuff. Definitely, if you're into brutal death metal, technical death metal, give this one a spin. It is the only release from them that I own. I've kind of had some trepidation of checking out their other material because this one is so good. I'm afraid I'll be let down, just because it won't live up to the hype from that particular release. And then the last one from today is just in this little thin line case. I've had this one forever. Don't remember a ton about it. I believe it's Death Grind. This is Deformed with Project Torture 005 is their second full length. They released a Project Torture 004 in 2004. This one came out in 2005. This is a band out of Poland. Just kind of violent Polish death grind. So I've kind of rambled on quite a bit on this one, but I was due for a video and I felt like talking about my CDs. So that's all for this. I will try to keep this going and get some more CD collection videos up, hopefully this week. So stay classy, and I'll see you guys soon.